Make sure everything is set up and good to go. Make sure that we're Facebook Live. Akila, let me know if we're live. While we wait, please introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know who you are, where you are tuning in from, and welcome. We're so excited to have you here. We'll get started in a minute.
We should have some elevator music on.
I know, right?
Here, I will fix that.
I forgot about that.
I will fix that.
Let's see.
Are you finding music or you want me to find it?
Oh, no, you can find it. I was trying to see if anyone was typing in the chat. Don't be scared. Hey, Victoria.
Hey, y'all.
Hello. Got from Florida.
Okay, Brooklyn.
LA. West
Wow.
Coast. Let's go.
Oh, Merlin.
I used to live there.
Just come on in.
Chi-town.
All right, we are live. We are good. I didn't start the music and now we gotta put it. Okay.
Oh, I was getting hyped.
I know. We can play it a little afterwards. So welcome, y'all. I'm so excited for today. It's been a long week, but I'm so grateful to have you all here and to share space with you, as well as co-facilitate, moderate this discussion with Shannon and Donna. But just wanted to let folks know, while we're here, please feel free to put questions in the chat. Donna will be working through that. If you are on Facebook, I'll be kind of looking to see if there's questions that we have on the Facebook Live. But welcome to the National Black Doulas Association bringing Black Breastfeeding Week 2020. So we've been kind of really trying to find, cool, innovative ways to bring you more content and development. So if you are a birth worker or a birthing parent, a postpartum, all those things, we just, again, welcome you in this space. I'm Jasmine Brooks. I answer to she, they. I am a doula in Central Iowa. I focus on fertility, birth, and postpartum. I am also a PhD student at Iowa State University looking to research Black maternal health. And I'll be your moderator today. So I will have Donna and Shannon share who they are and introduce themselves. So Donna, can you get us started?
Yes. Hello. Good evening. My name is Donna the doula, and I am from Florida. I see Miami and everyone in here. I actually reside in Virginia. I've been in Virginia for about 10 years now. And if we want to go even further back, I was born in the Bronx, New York. So been around. Definitely, I serve clients in the Northern Virginia area. I have went back to Florida. Right now, virtually, I have served clients in a lot of states. So that is also an option. I'm what you call a full spectrum doula. So I help women with their fertility journey and during pregnancy and postpartum. So we cover it all. And of course, I am going through classes to continue to be a lactation consultant, right? So right now I call myself the breastfeeding coach. And I'm also plant-based, right? I was vegan for about 3-4 years, and now we will get into the definitions, but right now I consider myself plant-based. And my son is 14, so it's been a while since I breastfed, but I can remember like it was yesterday, trust me.
Thank you. And Shannon?
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Shannon Simone Sellers, and I'm the vegan mama to my amazing 2-year-old Zora. I am also the founder and CEO of Own Your Check, where I teach people how to excel financially using a relatable and non-intimidating approach. That's huge for me. Also, I'm in week 3 of my 7-week group coaching program called Unindebted the Course. And in this course, I teach people how to eliminate their debt, maximize their savings, and increase their credit score so that they can pursue their passions and build wealth. So it's an exciting time, and I'm excited to be here. I am vegan. I've been vegan. I started my vegan journey in 2016, and we'll get into the details later. But my daughter is also vegan, so we'll talk more about that too.
So I'm just surrounded by a bunch of bosses, clearly. But to get us started, we are talking about breast milk and sweet potatoes. What does it mean to support birthing parents who are plant-based and vegan? So to get us started, I would love for the both of you to share your definition of plant-based vegan, whether it's a lifestyle, a diet, like what exactly is it?
Sure. I guess I'll talk about what it means to be vegan, and then Donna, you can talk about plant-based. You go that way. Okay. So being vegan, it's more than just a diet. It is a lifestyle, right? So being vegan, you omit dairy, eggs, meat, fish, shellfish, all of that, as well as the byproducts, right? So that's the diet piece, right? So the lifestyle piece goes beyond the diet, because now we're talking about the well-being of animals, right? So it's beyond you and what you eat, right? So for example, the vegans, they won't go to zoos and SeaWorld and things like that. They won't buy leather and a lot of things like that, because it's still directly but indirectly harming animals, right? They're not eating it, but they're participating in the what people say, they use the word torture, but the torture of animals. So that's why it's beyond what you eat, is actually how you live. So that's what vegan means for me.
Yes, and then plant-based is, if we had to look at numbers, we would say about 80% of your diet is coming from fruits and vegetables. And just like Shannon was saying, for example, vegans won't do honey, right? And when I was practicing the vegan lifestyle, I did not do honey. So with the plant-based, I can add honey because honey, I don't feel like the bees, hopefully, right, where my farm is, I get locally sourced, the bees are being treated well. And then you have that other 20% where you may occasionally do fish, right, or some dairy if it's in something, say like a cupcake, right, if it's not a vegan cupcake. And we definitely ration it out. So you're not eating fish every week, because then you would be considered a pescatarian. But this would be something that's maybe once every 6 months, once a year type occasion to be plant-based. And I do see that in the comments, someone is saying they are looking to start their vegan journey as well. So congrats to you.
Awesome. So I wanted you all to get into your story. When we were having our conversation to prepare for this, you know, the big thing that came up was like, what is your why? But you can also lump that into particularly like your story, and how does that frame itself around, you know, the concept of supporting Black parents, Black breastfeeding parents, when they are either vegan or plant-based. So yeah, I would say answer that question however you wish.
Sure, I can start. So my why, it started with me. So remember, I gave the definition of being vegan, where it's about yourself, but it's also beyond you, right? I actually started my journey with me. And so I was an athlete for most of my life, right? And there were like two major times in my life where I like gained a lot of weight, and I wasn't sleeping well, right? How I felt inside, I felt slow, and it just wasn't a good feeling, right? And so this happened, the second time was in 2016. And I was telling one of my good friends, Brian, about how I was feeling. And he said, you know, I did a vegan challenge for 30 days and I lost 18 pounds. I was like, really? And at that time, I really didn't know much about what being vegan was. And so I didn't expect to lose 18 pounds. I just know I wanted to change. So I was like, man, if I could just start something, right, and see how it goes. So the next day, I just went vegan. I was like about to drink this protein drink that had whey in it. And I was like, wait, I'm vegan today. And so I didn't even drink it. But then I looked up recipes on Pinterest that day, and my first vegan meal was a curry chickpea stew over some basmati rice. It was great. But that's how I started. And 2 weeks after, I wasn't even thinking about the weight loss because I just felt better. Like I literally just felt better. I was sleeping better, right? I felt more energized, and that was just after 2 weeks, right? So, and then after that feeling, I was like, man, this can be something that can really change, right, my life. And so 2016 beyond, I was vegan, right? There were a couple times where I did think, I was like, oh, let me just have a little bit of shrimp, right? And my body didn't agree with it. And so I started to just stick to the course, right? And I was vegan. And then as far as the second part of your question, which was how does it relate to, breastfeeding and things like that. Um, for me, it was hard at first because I was thinking when I was looking at, okay, what do I need to eat so that I'll be able to, produce the most milk, right? And the best milk for my baby. And it was a lot of fish and a lot of meat products in that. And so I was like, man, should I even breastfeed? Should I even do that because I'm not eating those items, right? And so that was really really hard for me to overcome because I didn't want to just breastfeed and my milk not be enough for my child, right? So I guess we'll get into the details of that later, but that really was a challenge for me. So I just had to really just do my own research, right? And I found out that I can get those vitamins and nutrients, right, from other places. I can get that from plants. I can get that from beans and vegetables, and not just fish and lean chicken and turkey. So.
Thank you. Donna?
Yes, and my beginning was also in 2014, and it was very similar as far as I had gained a lot of weight and I wanted to lose, a few pounds, and I got a personal trainer and we have been working, I don't know, maybe 3-4 times a week. And after 2 or 3 months, the scale had not moved. And I started just researching, intermittent fasting, just all these different things to help me lose weight. And once again, someone told me like, oh, they lost a bunch of weight going vegan. So I said, okay, I'm going to try it for a couple of days until I see the pound drop off. But I immediately noticed I had suffered with acne since elementary school. My face cleared up so much. And I was like, and
Oh.
then I was like, well, maybe I don't think it's that, maybe it's my new face wash. And then I attempted the meat again, and it was like 2 days later, the breakout, and I was like, wow. So I just continued. I continued. It was very difficult in the beginning because I went vegan, but I was not a healthy vegan. So I was doing all the junk foods, all the processed meats and different things, trying to still fulfill that meat craving. And then I just started realizing within my own body, like paying attention to my body, like I was falling asleep more often, like I was very tired. I wasn't getting all the nutrients. So then that's when I started to, Netflix. Netflix really helped me out with a lot of their documentaries. There are so much like Forks Over Knives and things like that. I took a nutrition class. I enrolled in the community college that I was in. I took a nutrition class and really started to learn the science behind food. Because we've just been programmed from kindergarten, literally. If you go to a public school, right, they're telling you you need milk, you need this much, and it's given to you often. So I really had to reprogram my mindset and reprogram my plate. So once I started to feel the effects, I was telling everybody, and then other people would start to do it and they would see a change as well. So I was like, I'm going to keep this up and be the example, because I can't tell somebody, hey, you have high blood pressure, eat a salad, and not do it myself. So my clients keep me accountable as well, and I kind of do it. It's for the animals as well. I've always high school marine biology major, college biology major. So I love the animals. I would save them all if I could. And I love the plants. Sometimes when my potatoes start growing, I'll be like, I don't want to cut you.
My
I'm
baby.
like, I'm like, oh, you're gonna starve to death, girl. Just cut the potato, cut the onion. But yeah, so it started off losing weight, but once I saw the changes in the better health, I knew it was more than just weight loss.
Can I say something real quick, Jasmine?
Yeah, absolutely.
Donna, you said something super important, right? And I need you to coin this. Reprogram my plate. That's key. That's key, right? Because we already know, right? So live, we've known you have to have a piece of chicken, some vegetables, and some carb. Like that's
some type of starch.
Some type of starch, right? That's what we say, starch, right? And so whether it's in school, at home, you go out to eat, growing up, that's what it was, right? And so that's why like for me, I don't have to tell anybody that I'm vegan because my friends and family, well, there's the vegan. Don't put that on her plate. There's the vegan. It's so unorthodox because we're just so used to this. But doing your own research is key, right? Reprogram my plate. Like, yeah, that's a hashtag. You should keep that. That's good.
You both mentioned the reason, right? Because like what I didn't realize is like it's a growing demographic within the Black community because we do have a lot of health disparities that impact us directly, and it's because of our diet, it's because of our stress. So what can we control what we eat? Now, oftentimes like the access to some of these foods, and we'll get into a little bit later, makes it a little bit more challenging. But yeah, just like even for me, I tell Shannon all the time, I'm a fake vegan. But now that I know what plant-based means, I'm like, okay, I'm a flaky plant-based person.
Flexitarian. That's
I was gonna say that's
right?
what
Flexitarian. There we go.
You flexing.
Donna, did you want to say something?
Oh no, I was literally about to throw the flexitarian word in there because I've used it a few times. It's like I said, it's a journey, right? And that's why I named my business Serene Journey, because we just look at the end point and it's like, no, you actually have to go through the whole process before you get to the end. So yeah, you can be flexible.
Yeah. So when I thought about this talk, I immediately thought of Shannon because I knew from the beginning, meeting Zora, meeting you, I was like, wow, this is powerful to have, someone in my circle that, owns and has strength in recognizing like, this is what I need to do for my body and my baby. And not a lot of people have that. So Shannon, I want you to, share with the folks watching, what is your story? What is you and Zora's story when it comes to, if you want to start in pregnancy, feel free to start wherever you want to.
Sure. Guess we could start in pregnancy. So when I became pregnant, I was vegan. And I didn't have any, I was blessed to have, not to have any complications or anything like that. However, I'll back up a little bit. I've always had low iron. It started when I was about, so I got pregnant at 27. I had low iron, I found out when I was 24. Right, I found out when I tried to, give blood, and like, your iron's too low. I'm like, what? What do you mean my iron's too low? Never heard of that, like, for myself. So I've always had low iron, right? So I knew that was a struggle. So I didn't have any other issues, but towards the end of my pregnancy, right, you're getting those tests and they're like, your iron's getting low, Shannon, you need to have more, green leafy vegetables or, things like that. And I was like, okay. But even at that time, Donna mentioned the vegan junk food, right? And how that's not helpful at all to anything, right? I was doing some of that, pregnancy cravings, giving myself an excuse. Well, I'm pregnant, so those things. And I wasn't eating the vegetables that I should have been eating, the food I should have been eating, because my iron got so low where they said, Shannon, we're gonna check you in a week. And if your iron doesn't get back up, then you're gonna have to be hospitalized and we're gonna have to pump iron in you. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, I need to make some changes. So that was one of the big things in pregnancy with, you can get iron from fish and other sources, right? And I didn't eat that, right? And so for me, in my head, I'm like, man, so I just have to eat salads with just spinach and kale? I don't want to do that, right? I want more than that. So I had to get creative, right? It's like, no, you don't have to. And my partner, he's amazing. He helped me out with this, because you don't just have to have salad, right? I started making smoothies. Right. Well, he was making the smoothies. I'm not gonna lie. He was making me smoothies, and they were so good and loaded with spinach and kale. And like the next time I got tested, I was like right back up, and I'm like, yes. So those are some of the thing I went through with pregnancy. Now with after Zora was born, right? We breastfed for 21 months. She self-weaned. Right at first, I'm like, yeah, and then I was like, I miss it. But she self-weaned, and we started introducing solids at about 6 months. Started introducing solids, and by 12 months, she had a lot of solids in her diet. And so one of my concerns was, okay, I understand, like I know I'm getting eventually I found out I'm getting the nutrients and the vitamins that I'm supposed to be getting, right, through like research on my own, because the doctors really weren't much help in this sense in the beginning. So I knew I was getting what I needed. I'm like, okay, she's 1.5, 2. Like, how do I know she's getting what she needs? The vitamins and nutrients that, I need, is it the same? Or like, what's the difference? Right. And so that was a huge struggle for me, because like I said, when I asked her doctor, okay, so what should she be eating? We're vegan, right? And you can just see the uncomfortability on their face, right, when I said that I was vegan, right? I even used the word, well, plant-based, to think that would help. It didn't help, right? And so I didn't get, she kind of just went through like the food pyramid. It wasn't exactly like, okay, well, since you're vegan, right, you don't get maybe as much B12 here, so you need to supplement here, with this. I wasn't getting any of that. And so with Zora, again, I was nervous. I'm like, well, should I just like give her meat? Because with everybody else, they're like, you definitely could get protein with meat, right? It's a given, right? You can't really get it anywhere else, right? That's what we're told, really. So going through that process, especially when she was starting to get introduced into foods, was a struggle for me. But what I had to do, what helped for me, was looking outwards than just doctors, right? Like doing my own research and finding out the foods, right, that I can give her so that she does have enough nutrients and vitamins and things like that. So it is possible to have a vegan child and your child to still be healthy and striving and thriving and all those things, right? Because I also would read, I see it on social media where people would say, you're doing your child a disservice by, having them be vegan. Stop pushing your agenda on your child. Like it's, something like that. And it's like, no, this is what I've done. I've done research on this. I know what I'm doing. I wouldn't let, my, personal views just take over my, daughter's health. Right. So it's doing your own research and getting comfortable with what you're doing, and not letting other people and people who are stuck in their ways and not willing to learn, right, take over how you feel in the research, that backs you up.
And you brought up a good point with I've heard people say like, don't impose your food beliefs onto your child. And it's like, well, if I don't think it's okay and healthy for me, then why would I all of a sudden think it's okay and healthy for him? And we have those very real conversations, because he definitely, he's 14 and he was probably about 9 or 10 or a little bit younger when I made the transition. So I did ask him, what he wanted to do. And he definitely said he still wanted to eat meat, but we did that. Like, okay, if we go out and you have chicken, you have to have double vegetable. Like you're not getting the French fries, and transitioning him in that way, because it's easiest for us to do as adults, right? But children, if they're older, if they're used to eating meat, just scale it back. And then eventually he caught on himself. Like I didn't have to tell him he needed a vegetable. as soon as he ordered, he'd be like, well, I know I'm gonna need broccoli, and things like
Yes.
that. So, and it was just like, you know, and they catch on, right? And it's like children, they know better. And this is from my teacher aspect. I've taught elementary school for 4 years. All you have to do is give them what sounds right. And then their little minds just investigate it. And they're like, okay, this sounds right. No, this is right. Right. So they are investigative naturally. So, if your children are older, definitely don't feel guilty about imposing your beliefs. It's like that's kind of what culture is, right? So you're not imposing, you're just teaching your child your views and your beliefs, and that's okay and that's fine.
Because that's what everybody else is doing, right? When we
Mm-hmm.
grew up eating meat, they were imposing their beliefs on us, right? And we were eating meat. Like that's just how everything happens. But change. Not a lot of people like change, or some people, even though you're not trying to guilt them, you're just presenting new information. They all of a sudden feel attacked, right? Or it's like, oh, so what you're saying, what I'm doing is wrong. What I'm doing, my kid is wrong. Absolutely not. My partner is not vegan, right? My brother, my mother, they're not vegan. I love them to death. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
a shot to anyone just because I'm presenting new information or telling you, what I do and why I do it, so.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I
Donna,
think,
I have a question for you. Like what are some considerations from the doula perspective? So for the birth workers who are watching, what do we need to be paying attention to, asking, following up on, requesting, whatever you think it would look like from that full spectrum doula perspective of supporting a birth mom like Shannon?
So actually, in the beginning, I usually kind of do like a health questionnaire. I used to have a whole list of questions, and I was like, well, you don't need to check the box. Let's have a conversation. But we talk about this. We talk about, what are your eating habits? Do you plan on changing? And if so, where do you feel like you need help with? So then as a birth worker, I started getting a lot of people who wanted to transition. So I had to say, okay, well, what did I need at that moment when I transitioned? And once again, it started with the mindset of like knowing that you are getting enough. The second part of that is getting people to find other support groups. So I started to just join. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, but it's Chef Anki, I think. I'll find it and type it in the group. And Dr. Sebi, um, Alkaline Vegan Mommy. So I started following these people who had different diets as well, and who were feeding their children those same diets. So I offer those to my clients to follow this person, right? Because I'm not posting recipes, I'm actually following their recipes, and this was great. And then eventually it went to where I had a recipe list. And I also, what can be good for birth workers as well is to incorporate that into a visit, right? So I call it my nourishing package, where I will come over monthly. So if you don't like to cook, or you just feel like you are going to need some assistance or burn it up or whatever, I will come over and we will cook it together. So that is something that I find that works. And now you can just do it virtually, watching the pan. But definitely, people really need to see it and to have it done. Maybe like 1 or 2 recipes. And then once they get those 2, they're like, okay, I'll start to play with my own flavors and things like that. So.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had a nourishment package. Great.
Yes, definitely. So I tell people I'm not a chef. These are my 5 little same recipes that I've perfected over and over again. But yeah, I'll come and cook with you. Or in the postpartum, I definitely, and this is something that I got from training, like we would bring them like postpartum soup. So making sure that soup is
Oh, I think we lost it a little bit.
Oh, yeah, it's frozen.
Let's see if she's gonna come back. But something I was thinking about, and there was a question a little earlier in our conversation about, again, misconceptions. You mentioned it of, having low iron, trying to find protein. Is it true that, folks who are vegan or plant-based are having to take a large amount of supplements, and like, what does that look like for you?
I believe, so this is my personal story, my personal belief. I believe that it depends on your activity level, right? I believe that if you're working out every day, and also depending on the workout, right? If you're doing a workout such as maybe, walking for a few minutes compared to if you're strength training, which I was doing at the time, right? Then you would need more protein, right? And in that sense, I was strength training Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and doing 2-a-days for cardio on Tuesday and Thursday. So I had to supplement, just how people with meat, people who eat meat, if they were working out like I did, like at my gym, they supplemented as well. Right. And so it's like we all supplement depending on what our activity level is. Right. There's literally, and at the gym I was going to, because the vegan population was actually growing, they only had whey protein for the longest. Now they started to incorporate vegan protein as well, because we're all, right? But because people don't see it, right, they automatically think like, oh, vegans, no matter what they're doing, they have to supplement with this and that. There are some things where, it's a good idea to supplement, like B12 and other things like that. But for the most part, I supplemented just the way anybody else would supplement, right? Now where I'm not working out as much, I don't supplement because I don't need it. So it's really depending on your activity level, right? And most of that is, working out and the amount that you're actually working out.
Donna, the question was, do vegans have to take, or plant-based folks have to take more supplements or just anything like that, because they're missing out, right? Missing out on certain things like protein and iron. And what does that look like, particularly for like a birthing person and someone trying to breastfeed?
I supplement with herbs. So when I am cooking, I use like a lot of nettles or dandelion root. I'm a tea lover, so it's easy for me to get those things in. Like I drink tea probably 3 times a day, even in the summer, warm. And then if it's too much, then I ice it. So once again, we kind of go over your body can tell you. So if you have dark circles, if your tongue is white, like maybe you have more yeast in the body. If you're tired, your iron, ginger, things like that. So depending on the symptoms, of course, that is what herb or what vitamin or what mineral that you need to focus on, right? So you really have to know your body or ask your client, what are they going through? Or maybe they already know, like Shannon said, she knew that she had been anemic for a few years. I typically always ask that, because women of color, we typically are anemic a lot of times. And because one, we have to think, we have heavier periods, we have fibroids, we have cysts, we have so much wrong with our wombs. So I'm automatically throwing those things in there. So yes, when I do supplements, I definitely try to just, instead of buying a multivitamin, so yes, I do take a multivitamin, but I have a cabinet full of, I encapsulate my own pills. So I get those herbs, but you can buy them, any health food store, Amazon even have them. So if you're not a tea drinker, I tell my clients, well, you can get a nettle pill or a nettle tincture. So that way you can just pop it in, in the morning or right before bed and still get that without having to worry about, well, did I drink 3 cups of tea and a cup of soup and all of that. So yes, but in the beginning, I realized with my own personal journey, I had to take a lot because I wasn't eating, what's the word, like a well-rounded meal. And I did see that someone asked, like, is there a vegan pyramid? And I've never researched it. So I don't want to say no, but that could be something that we as both birth workers can create like a food pyramid. So Alicia, I did see Alicia ask that. I'm not 100% sure, but I can research that.
So you all mentioned food a lot. What are some common things you eat that you feel you want to share with other folks that might, again, enhance lactation? You've seen made you feel good, like physically. When again, Shannon, you mentioned, working out. What are some things folks can eat or you see would be beneficial to incorporate into your diet when you're asking for more lactation, those types of things?
Absolutely, absolutely. So with my experience, I realized, and Donna spoke about this too, when I was eating the vegan processed junk food, right? It was kind of like I was just eating meat. Like that's how I felt inside, right? And so for me, it was eating whole food. So if you look it up, you can search whole foods, plant-based, and you can see the foods that come up, right? Eating like that, man, I felt amazing, right? So in addition with drinking a lot of water, right, and eating whole food, plant-based, I was like pumping at work and I was getting 7 ounces in a session, 6 to 8 ounces in a session when I was eating whole food, plant-based and drinking a lot of water. When I was not doing that, it was like, 2 ounces or less. So for me, this is what, I'll give example of what a day looked like for me. And also I meal prepped. I don't know if you want me to get into that now or later, but meal prep you now. Okay. 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 So I meal prepped on Sunday, right? My partner knew for 4 hours, that was my time. That was my time to go to the store, and meal prep, like 4 to 5 hours, honestly. That was on Sunday, right? And so what I would do for breakfast, I would either have, I would chop up an apple or have like a whole banana. And for breakfast, I would have the apple or banana with nut butter, right? And again, I wasn't trying to eat the processed food. So that nut butter was just nuts and salt. That's it. 2 ingredients, period. Not all the extra sugar and everything like that. So it wasn't the peanut butter that, it's kind of still, it was, oily and everything because it's just 2 ingredients, right? That's super important, right? And so with that, I would sprinkle on hemp seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, right? To get that extra, nutrients, because that's a lot of fat, a healthy fat, protein, right? And some good carbs as well. Or I would do overnight oats, right? And that was super easy because I would make about 3 or 4 of them, pop them in the refrigerator, and then I'm good for 3 or 4 days, right? So that's what I would have for breakfast, right? And then for a snack, right? Again, I would have fruit, but also fruit and vegetables actually fill you up more than a bag of chips or any of, cookies or anything like that. It literally makes you feel full, right? And also I ate every 2.5 to 3 hours, like clockwork, 2.5 to 3 hours, right? So then I would have some more fruit. For lunch, I would make this salmon salad, right? So it had chopped up kale, chopped up spinach, and then I would add some roasted broccoli. I would make in the air fryer, some roasted broccoli, some bell peppers, some cherry tomatoes, some red grapes, and then again, sprinkle some like hemp seeds and things of that nature. And then I would either use sesame seed oil as a dressing or balsamic vinegar. Right now, I actually like make my own like dressing. My friend has a like great recipe, but I just had a little bit of oil on it and it was great. Right. And then when I was working out, I would have a protein shake, right? A vegan protein shake. I would take Vega One. They have really great flavors. And then for dinner, I would have black bean burgers, right? That I would make from scratch. And again, all whole foods, nothing processed at all. So that was sweet potatoes, black beans, right? It would have cilantro, some a little bit of seasoning, right? And then I would cook it in coconut oil, right? So really, the choices was coconut oil, avocado oil, or sesame seed oil for me, right? And then also maybe sprinkle a little bit of sunflower seeds on there. But it was really eating those whole foods and drinking water when I was just producing a lot of milk, right? So I was able to breastfeed my daughter, right? Plus come home, well, pump twice at work, right? Get a good amount at work, then come home and pump again. So I was pumping 3 times a day, and then nursing throughout the night. Man, them days, nursing throughout the night, and then when she came home, right? So it was to recap, it was black beans, also chickpeas, dark green leafy vegetables, and any other type of whole food, right? That's not processed, right? Your body loves it. Your body will love you for eating whole foods. And so that's what helped me, in addition to a lot of water.
Donna, you have anything to add to that? She can hear me.
Oh, she's frozen again.
Uh-oh. Yeah, well, we think we're kind of losing Donna in and out of here. Something that I've just realized as a doula, and you mentioned whole foods, so caveat, Shannon and I live in Iowa, and so, and Shannon, people are asking for that recipe for the, it looks like the dressing.
Oh, they
So
want the dressing.
if you're willing to share it or give hints, because I know it's probably some secret too.
It is. My vegan friend, she's a mama as well. She gave me that recipe.
Okay, so
let me ask permission.
Permission first.
Let me do that.
Yeah, and folks in the Zoom, you'll be getting some really awesome recipes that Shannon and Donna, the doula, put together, and so we'll see if we can add that dressing in the equation. But something that I know I have to have another conversation about when asking, diet preferences, maybe again, lack of nutrition, or like Donna had mentioned, there's something going on that's maybe not getting the best outcome, whether it be mom isn't, developing enough milk, or they may feeling very lethargic, they're frustrated. Again, people don't realize that like a lot of what they eat really impacts their mental, physical, emotional, just overall health and wellness. And something I didn't realize for myself as I'm in transition, how much blockage is developed because of all the meat and the dairy and the processed foods. Like, I am a Funyun girl. Like, I'm a flaming hot Funyun girl. Like, I still got
That's
them
Chicago. That's Chicago.
I can't back away from that, right? That's just, listen, it's not gonna ever happen, probably ever in this lifetime. But it's just so much blockage. Like, coping through food is a thing, because my mom's mac and cheese is like 8 cheeses. It's ridiculous. But having the conversation, and maybe you can give a little more guidance to this, of like, how do you shop for these things, particularly if you're low income. I think about the fact that like our grocery stores are few far in between. Like, we just lost a really great grocery store that had health food options, and now the only other option we have within our city is really expensive, and the next one is like 45 minutes away. And so we're making a large assumption that people have access to these things. And so how do you manage purchasing, thinking about buying these types of groceries? Because again, I think the misconception is that fruits and vegetables are expensive, and then it can be, but how do you manage that?
Yeah, definitely. So I can say, before I went vegan, I was spending about like over $100, easy, over $100 a week on food, right? When I went vegan, now, so before I even had Zora, let's just talk about me by myself. $50 or less, easy, right? And that's with Whole Foods, right? Because I'm not buying the Oreos, because Oreos are vegan now. I wasn't buying that. I wasn't buying all of that. And it's funny because now a lot of foods, they're changing their recipes so they can be vegan, so people can. It's making it real hard. But I'm sorry about that. Let me just shut that all the way off. Yeah, so $50 or less now. And then now with Zora, most of her food comes from daycare, right? But also she'll have dinner here, and then during the weekend, all her meals, right? So I would say 65, no more than $65. That's like the max that I spend on food. And like Jasmine said, we're in the same area, right? So we had a grocery store that had so many health food options, and it was so affordable and gone. And Trader Joe's is 50 minutes away now, right? Like that's our closest one. So what I had to do is I basically had to adapt. So I don't spend a lot of money on food. I don't go to the main grocery stores, right? So ours out here is Hy-Vee, right? So I don't go there for most of my items. There's some specialty items if I'm making a certain recipe that I'll go there for. However, I'm an Aldi's girl. I go straight to Aldi's. I go straight to Aldi's, and that's where I'm able to get my food at a low price point, right? Especially like all my whole foods basically come from Aldi's, and those are the basis of my recipes, right? So again, not everybody. Some people, right? They may only have access to that one store that's super expensive, right? And in that sense, it's not easy to just say all of my food is going to be whole foods and it's going to be I'm going to be plant-based, right? So what I suggest to people is just do what you can. Really do what you can. If you can't buy all your all your meals can't be whole food plant-based, just do what you can. Just start supplementing what you can. Doing something is literally better than nothing. That's with like everything in life, but especially with this, right? You don't have to be gung-ho and do it all 100%, right? If you're constantly eating junk food and things like that, and you start to make slight changes, your body is going to feel it. You're going to feel it. Okay, so doing something is better than is better than nothing. That's what I suggest to people if they don't have access, or maybe they don't have basically don't have access. Because for me, like I said, my personal story, food got cheaper once I started investing in whole food plant-based, right? Also, that's where like meal prepping comes in, right? Because those foods don't last forever,
No.
right? I actually made a post on my Instagram at Own Your Check where I reminded people, I'm like, hey, use that bag of spinach and that bag of kale that you have in your refrigerator before it goes bad, because it's going to start smelling soon. So make sure you use that, right? We think like, oh, we're going to be healthy. We buy these, bags of spinach, and they just sit there. We're like, I don't know what to do with them. So it's also for me, meal prepping set the whole stage for me to be able to be consistent with being vegan, right? So like I said, Justin gave me those. He held it down for he holds it down for like 4 to 6 hours on Sunday, right? So that I can meal prep, right? So I'm buying things like the recipe that I included from Happy Healthy Mama, I believe, for the black bean burgers, right? Those last all week, and it's all whole foods, right? So for that recipe, it makes 6 patties, right? So I'll have that for dinner for Monday through Saturday, and I'm good, right? And then I have a side of roasted vegetables. I'm good, right? I'll make a huge salad in a bowl, and I'll just take some out and put it in my containers, right? However, I make some guacamole. I make that the night before because that turns, right? And we also talked offline about how to like pick food so that it doesn't go bad, right? Especially with avocados. Avocados are great. It's a healthy fat. I think it's about like 21 grams of healthy fat per avocado. Superfood. It's amazing, right? But there's so many memes about avocados going bad like as soon as you get home, right? And so for me, I'm kind of good at it now because I've been doing it for so long, but I feel the avocado, right? If I want to make it ASAP, it has to be, somewhat soft. If I want to make it later in the week, I'll buy it hard, right? But also if you pluck the top of it and it's not green, it's done. It's already done. Don't pick it up, right? If you pluck the top and it's green, you're good. So it's a little tip there, but.
So Donna, welcome back.
I had to relocate to the
right?
floor.
Man, this internet stuff, I'm shocked that I'm still live in effect right now. But just to recap for you, maybe you can give more insight. So first thing we talked about was how do you think about finding your foods, cooking your foods? We mentioned meal prepping, those types of things. But also the second part of that question I asked Shannon was, the access that we have. So I'm thinking of, conversations I have to have with my clients about where do they go buy these things, because it's this misconception that, eating healthy is, whatever term we want to ascribe it to, but finding these foods might be more challenging and or more expensive in some regard. And so just want to get your comments on those things.
Yes, definitely. Because when I was working in Washington, D.C., in particular, like Southeast D.C. Is food desert. So you have to partner, right? There was a local community garden that would give out food on certain days. So you can see if you have one in your community. If not, start one. Right? See what it takes to get some grant money and start one. I know I love shopping at farmers markets because they're only once a week. One is kind of far, but I know that I'm just going to drive in 45 minutes and get everything that I need. And fortunately, where I'm at now, I have access to a lot of different things. So I often tell like other clients maybe buying food online, right, and having it shipped to you. And now, because of the pandemic, a lot of places are taking BT and SNAP, so that is a benefit because a lot of my clients do participate in that. And it's like, well, you have to visit the store, but now you don't. So once we keep advocating for ourselves, because I know a lot of people are saying, okay, I have SNAP, but I can't use it online and we can't go to the stores, then we start seeing power in numbers. And like Shannon said, you have to eat what you buy. Because that's when it starts to become expensive, because you're like, oh, I just spent $20 on this fruit, but now it's garbage. So I have a patio as well, so I grow things. You don't need a patio. You can find a little corner in the house, really, and dedicate it. On Pinterest, I've seen some amazing in-home apartment gardens. So if you have a green thumb, definitely grow herbs, right? That will, like I said, you can dry those things out yourself and make teas, put them in a pill. So that way you're not going every week spending $3 or $4 on a basil plant, because that adds up. So yeah. And
Yeah,
I know,
something that I've been, oh, go ahead.
I was about to say, I know that when it first disconnected, you were asking about like our go-tos, and my go-tos is chickpeas, chickpeas and lentils. So that is a very cheap option because you can season it any and every way. I have curry chickpeas, curry lentils. I'll do the Indian flavors, coconut, chickpea, and we were talking about that, like the language, chickpea tuna, right? You can make so much things with chickpea. Even the juice that comes in a can. I've never tried it, but they say you can make eggs, right? I've used it as a binding agent to make buffalo cauliflower bites, right? So you can use it. So that's my go-to, chickpeas.
Something that, and maybe you all can give a little more insight of like where to go for some of these things. So I've been following Hood Herbalism. They've been doing a lot of free webinars about like different types of herbs and what they do. I know that the National Black Doula Association is huge with like training around herbalism. But do you all have like other like places that you feel? I know we mentioned Dr. Sebi, Alkaline Vegan Mom. Like, what are some, again, go-to places that folks could, just do a little bit more research? Because I'm getting a lot of questions about like, I want to know more. Where can they go? What books can they buy?
Ooh. I was just typing in the chat. So Mountain Rose Herbs, that's where I order my herbs from. They have a whole free online school. And I actually recently just applied for a grant. So they do offer grants to give back to the community and different things like that. They have a lot of things. I actually also did my herbal classes through someone named Divine Wisdom. She's also a doula. I can type her information into the chat box as well. But you can find her on Instagram and social media, and I'm pretty sure it's under Divine Birth Wisdom. She particularly focuses on pregnancy and postpartum herbs as well, and the Southern tradition for people of color. And then, like you said, hood herbalism. I've taken a couple of their free webinars throughout this time.
I bought the book, Working, I think it's Working the Roots. Isn't that what I think?
Yes, I think I would grab it.
That book is intense. But it's like 400 years of like African descent practice. So like a researcher researched 400 years of practice around health and healing. Yes, that book is really great.
And actually, another person, I keep this book on my bed. I'm not in the room where my library is, but Queen Afua. A lot of her books have recipes. It has, when we're talking about feminine health, herbs for yeast, herbs for BV. If your period has stopped and you need to bring it back on. So a lot of my recipes that I do with my postpartum baths and yoni things and stuff definitely comes from her. I mean, you can see I got all these tabs, highlights. And she's on Instagram, and she definitely does a lot of workshops and things like that. But definitely, this one is called Heal Thyself. But yes, Queen Afua, definitely.
Well, put your questions in the comment section. Trying to see if there's any other ones.
Also,
Yeah.
I am surviving vegan.
Oh yes, I did a fast with her.
Yeah, I did too. I did the grapefruit fast. Orisha Oshun, I am surviving vegan, and she's powerful. She talks about everything from food. She also talks about herbs. She's big on herbs. I actually got a recipe from her where she put like water, Epsom salt, and some like rose petals and oranges, lemons, and sage, and like put it in a pot, and you do like a face steam just to breathe it in, just to like clear your sinuses. And I did that when I was I felt a cold coming on, and it was out, didn't even come. So I am surviving vegan. She's really good, and she does a lot of detox challenges and things like that. She has a free one. She has some free challenges as well, but she's a good person to follow. And Vegan Reina. So it's vegan and then REINA. She's big on strength training. And then she has another account with her partner, like Vegan Bays. So they're both vegan. So it's the nutrition part and also the exercise component as well. And so they have great videos and content. So.
Awesome. Oh, they asked if we can post the names in the book, post the names of the books that we did. Donna, can you help out with that?
And actually, is the chat, I wonder if everyone can see. Oh yeah, all pay. I don't want the Wi-Fi to cut off.
Alicia says, Shannon, can you please give us a list of foods to help? Alicia, are you talking about foods to help with lactation, or you mean just feeling better and healthier? What they're both intertwined actually, but still let me know specifically what lactation. Okay. All right. And I do want to say this, at the time where I was breastfeeding, this the foods that I mentioned helped me, right? But I can't specifically say these foods helped me produce more milk, right? All together, it made me feel healthier and everything. In addition, that's also what happened, right? So I want to make that clear. But I can work on that. Basically, give you the foods, and since you're on Zoom, then you get the rest. She gets the recipes, right? Everybody on Zoom. Okay, so you'll get my breakfast and my lunch already. You'll get that after this call.
I guess Donna, did you want to share? Because I know we only have this ends in 45, right? Did you have anything to add regarding like thinking about plant-based eating that would, enhance lactation, milk production, those types of things?
Yeah, so you want to stick with things like oats, oatmeal, and I have said that starting, I think about on Sundays, I'm going to start posting recipes on my page. Okra actually is pretty good. You have all of your beans, and just like Shannon said, it's all the plants,
Yes.
right? And on the food list, so people who are on the Zoom, they're gonna get a list. I did put I have a snack and dinner as well. Let me see, are we still here? Okay, I'm just so nervous that my thing is gonna go back out. But I definitely post different recipes and things. Am I still here?
Yep. We see
Okay.
you. We hear you.
Yeah. And I actually had a client who was doing vegan, I think it's Ben and Jerry's has an oatmeal ice cream. And she said that she's been noticing that her supply is greater. Herbs like moringa, actually, or am I saying it right? Matcha. I know Starbucks has like a matcha powder
I think it's
green.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how you say it, but it's MACA. So moringa and matcha, ashwagandha root is good as well. And also, people have to remember that herbs are still medicinal. So you want to make sure that they work well with your body, right? Certain things, if you have high blood pressure, you probably shouldn't be taking. So you can research that or get with someone who knows, an herbalist, a nutritionist, or something like that who can help you. Just like Shannon, you used to do individualized plans. I definitely have done some plans for people. So, and naturopathic doctors, you can see if your insurance has covers any. I know a lot of times we kind of just think we have to go to this one doctor. And I tell my clients that too, like, you don't have to go to that doctor or that hospital, right? It's your choice. So let's do a little research and see who's available and if your insurance takes that. And if not, there's something called out of network coverage, right? So you can get them to pay for things out of network.
Don, I have a question for you. So, for
Mhm.
example, the ashwagandha root, right? Like, how should you eat that? Like, how should you consume that? Is it in a tea, or are there various ways? Is there one way that's better than the other? Or could you give
So
any feedback on
it's
that?
various ways. And like I said, it goes back to your lifestyle and what you can handle. Because if you're doing a tea, well, if you're doing preventative type measures, that's once or twice a day. If you're having an actual lactation, if you aren't producing enough milk, then you want to do those things at least 3 times a day. Just like when we take like a Advil, um, or if we're on antibiotics, they're like take 3 times a day with a full glass of water. It's the same thing. You want to continue to introduce that throughout the day. So if you're doing pills, then you might be taking two pills every 3 hours. And then once again, it depends on if you got the 1,000 milligram. I typically try to get the highest milligram so that I'm not taking a lot of pills throughout the day.
Mm,
But if you get something like 400, you could be taking 6 pills a day. Tinctures, you can get a herb in a tincture form. So literally it's just a little bottle, you take the dropper and put it under your tongue. That would be like a once a day thing. So it really depends on how you are getting, if you're taking it. Um, so specifically for me with anemia with the nettle, I will put in everything. So I have a cup of nettle tea in the morning. I make some soup and throw maybe like a tablespoon within that soup. But I'm only eating maybe like 2 or 3 bowls. I'm not eating the whole pot. So then again, I'm going to take some more at night. A food journal may help, right? Beforehand, before you start any of this, to kind of see how you are eating. And then you can see where you need to insert these things throughout your day.
Nice. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I'm trying to see if there's don't see any other questions. I do see a link. Subtle Yes Products. Oh, yeah. .com. Yeah.
There is a question.
There's a question in the chat. It says, any advice for someone who wants to start breastfeeding at 7 months? That is a great topic. A lot of women don't realize that once you lactate, you can do it forever, right? My son is 14. If I wanted to relactate, I can do it. But you have to stick to a rigorous pumping. Right? You're gonna have to pump until that milk comes in to feed baby. You can definitely put baby on the breast, right? Not when they're hungry, because they can get angry and fuss again, fight with you. But you can do it right after a feed to get them kind of used to the breast. But you definitely want to start quick. In 7 months, that's actually not far out, right? So you might want to definitely make sure you're eating properly, you're resting, and get a pumping schedule.
Would you say that requires a lot of like time, like you said, time, patience,
Yes.
trial and error, right?
Yeah, a lot of patience. And some women, like, you can get prescribed hormones, right? So when we're looking at like same-sex couples, if the other partner wants to feed, right, the non-birthing partner wants to feed, they can sometimes take hormones as well. So that is an option if you have possibly like never lactated and you did want to lactate. So that is a possibility.
So they had a follow-up question of, even if it's not consistent in the beginning.
Is if what?
I guess consistent in chest feeding.
If you can relactate?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you said, once you've been able to lactate, you can lactate whenever.
Yes.
It's just really about stimulating your breast.
Because I know my son was about 6 before my milk truly dried up. So, it would be moments where, say in the shower or something, I'm like, what's this milk? He's not, no one has been drinking for a while. But to relactate, you definitely have to be on a pumping schedule.
And I would say if you can get in connection with a lactation counselor in your area, I know a lot of them have been doing virtual support, because again, there could be a ton of things that you're doing that might inhibit that from happening. So like, fun fact, allergy medicine helps dry those things up.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So just like if you're taking allergy medicine, that can inhibit you from lactating. So you could be doing everything possible, but then that one thing you're doing is actually like blocking it. So it'd be good to just connect with a lactation counselor to get like that full scope of what you can do.
Yeah.
It says, what your professional opinion on lactation products? I see mixed reviews. So I'm gonna guess like milk thistle, tea, and those, like, I guess those are just like common things.
Those are the herbs that I suggest my clients take. I just tell people, first we want to know if you really aren't getting enough. I think because I see it a lot where parents are like, especially because they go to the doctor and the doctor is like, oh, your baby is a little underweight. We have to remember, especially people of color, that those charts are not designed for us, right? So we are always going to either be too much or too under. They're not for us. So you are going off of your baby's diapers, right? Are they producing urine? Are they having a bowel movement? Are they actually gaining, right? Are they saying, if you're feeding for an hour, right, and they seem full after, then you know they are. But if you fed for hours, they're still fussy and you don't want to get off, then you might want to start saying, okay, there might be milk, um, low milk production. And actually on Saturday, we'll be posting this information, but I am doing a webinar live on this page to talk about um, low milk production and the specifics on that, especially mastitis. I feel like a lot of women don't have an experience in that. So if that's something that you are interested in, be on the lookout for more information about Saturdays. Is at 3, Saturday at 3.
3 Eastern.
Yes, Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, the cookies, I would say stick to the teas, because when you start to like do the cookies and stuff like that, sometimes with cooking them, it breaks the nutrients down. And you're adding all these other sugars, all of that. Um, and then once again, you can get milk thistle in a tincture. You can get milk thistle like thistle if you don't want to drink tea.
Absolutely. Any last other questions, thoughts?
Somebody asked about Milky Mama products.
Yes. The cookies.
I had probably about 2 years ago, they sent some samples to a place I was working at, and those moms loved it. But once again, I think it's hard to gauge with those because you have to respect them. Like I may eat cookies, but not get any sleep, stressed, not doing anything else but eating the cookies. And then this person is eating the cookies, but they're exercising, they're resting. And unfortunately, we just don't have like the studies, right? When you get the science, you have to really control these to see what is working and what's not. But
So again, you can bake the nutrients out of whatever you're trying to like, just as much as like you making anything with like kale or spinach, like you can cook the nutrients out of it and it just defeats the purpose, right?
Yeah, so definitely don't spend, your whole check on a whole bunch of different things. Just try something, and see how your body responds to it. It's what worked for Shannon may not have worked for Donna. And don't get discouraged, right? Don't get discouraged.
Okay. Well, thank you both. I guess just last minute thoughts as we wrap up. I just want to have folks to be remember this is through the National Black Doulas Association. They have a ton of trainings posted. So if you are interested in being a birth worker or you have a business already and you're like, hey, I'm Black and I want to be a part of a community, like this is the community full of amazing folks that are really trying to, be the resistance out here. But yeah, last minute thoughts, Donna, Shannon, as we wrap up.
Sure. So with my company, Own Your Check, I constantly talk about different ways to cut expenses, save money so that you can accomplish your financial goals, whatever they are, right? And food is a big part of it, right? I've spoken to people, right, who, felt like a lot of their expenses came from one thing and it was actually food, right? Like we did exercise and found out it was actually food, right? And so I don't push and say like you need to go plant-based, right? But I provide education and different resources so that you can see, compare and contrast, right? Whether you maybe just want to incorporate a little bit more vegetables, right? Some other ways, like kale chips are popping. You don't have to have potato chips. Kale chips are great, right? There are just different things you can do to cut costs, right? So you can spend money on what's truly important to you, right? And that's one of the big things with Own Your Check is money values, right? So it's at Own Your Check on Instagram and Facebook, ownyourcheck.com. Also, I have a free Own Your Check club, right, where you get free resources and tips via my newsletters, right? Just
super helpful.
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. We work hard on that. So yeah, we talk about this and much more, right? Whether you want to eliminate debt, you want to buy a house, right? You want to go on more vacations when, you know, everything opens up, right? Own Your Check can help you with that. In my course, Unedited the course, can help you with that. So follow me at Own Your Check.
Thank you, Donna.
And I know I was excited when I follow her social media. It's like you never know how alignment is going to work, even with social media, right? And this webinar, definitely you can follow me on Instagram and like me on Facebook at Serene Journey. I definitely am going to, I have a YouTube page, I have a blog, but now I'm going to start presenting more of the dietary information because usually it was just for my clients. But I get it so much in my DMs. So just be patient. I'm a full-time teacher and we are back in school. So,
Yeah.
but I am going to be posting like weekly. Just please check out my stories. Just to give you an idea, right? Literally, then you can just look at a picture and say, okay, I'm just going to Google this recipe. A lot of times I'm either Googling it or I'm making it up. I'm like, I know I want curry tonight. So what's in the cabinet, throw it all together and it comes out great. Feel free to send me a message. I'm always sharing what I know. And if I don't have the answers, I will help you get the answers.
Awesome. And Jasmine Brooks, Rural Black Doula here in Central Iowa. You can follow me on J Olive Wellness. I talk all things fertility, birth, postpartum, and just always sharing my journey as a, you know, aspiring Black birth scholar here in these streets. So thank you all for joining us. This will be recorded. This was recorded, so we'll be able to share this back if you're wanting to recapture or maybe miss some things. But again, please follow National Black Doula Association, blackdoulas.org, and just hope you all have a wonderful night. Enjoy the rest of your week, and let's continue to celebrate Black breastfeeding, birthing parents here. And again, you can check out a lot of these things on our website, as well as the Black Breastfeeding Week website as well. So yeah, thank y'all.
Yes. Thank you, Jasmine. This was great. Yes.
These were great questions.
Y'all are dope. So perfect. I don't know, Akila, do we just say bye? It's just like, yeah, we're good.
All right, good night, y'all.
Good night.